Hey everybody, we're here for a new episode of the RLG Cast Reviews. I'm here with Putty, the Puttyman. He's down there somewhere on the side somewhere. I don't know where he is, but you'll figure it out. And he's probably wearing a Deadpool hat. And I'm here with JD, the Donut Man. He's probably wearing a flannel shirt.
It's not flannel, actually.
I
It's
meant,
just a checkered
no,
shirt.
checkered. It's
It's
checkered.
Plaid.
it's it's cotton. It's nice.
It's plaid. There you go. That's the word
Yeah.
I was looking for. He's in Nirvana, if you didn't know, not the dead one. Um,
This is actually cotton. It's not even flannel.
Listen,
It's
I don't
just
want
like
to
a
hear
nice dress
you.
shirt.
Okay, you're making a lot
I
of excuses for a guy
got
that
it
has
at
Kraven
American
at the
Eagle.
bottom of the stack. Today we're talking about Kraven. Morbius 2, Kraven.
Morbius 2, Kraven.
Um, so what do you guys think? Actually, you know what? Tell us about the movie, JD.
Okay, so excuse me. This movie focuses on Sergei Kravenov and his half brother Dmitry. They are basically their mother dies, so their dad takes them on a hunting trip to Africa. Sergei gets mortally wounded by a lion, and a young Calypso saves his life, and then wackiness ensues.
Yeah. So I didn't hate this movie.
Nope,
Mm.
I'm not giving it as much hate as everybody else is giving it.
I still
Yeah,
don't
I
think it
agree.
was good. I think it was probably
Better than Morbius.
it was better than
I
Morbius and
agree.
it was better than
Better
Madam Web,
Madam
but I
Web for
do
sure.
think that I
I think this was
enjoyed.
better than Last Dance.
I don't know. You could argue the point that it's better than um the second
Venom?
Venom to me because I think
Yeah.
Venom 3 was better than Venom 2.
Okay.
Um, it's not as fun to watch as Morbius or Madam Web though, because those movies were such dumpster fires that I enjoy watching them.
You
Like I
hate watch them.
genuinely have a good time watching it. This was kind of like a boring movie to get through. Some of the action is fun. Genuinely, the best 8 minutes of this movie are the 8 minutes they released, uh, which are the opening eight
Well,
minutes of the
Yeah.
movie.
it's funny too because this movie, I wanted to jump in and say this, and we'll get to this in the spoilers. The parts I actually liked are the parts that are completely different from their source material, and I actually like the way they did them better in this. It's really weird because they were fun in a weird, really weird, obscure way, but it's like. At this point, it feels like it's a little too late now. If you guys are going to redesign things, and you're gonna do it, you should have done that early on with Morbius because now it's too late and you've screwed up everything already. And this,
Yeah,
you know,
I think the changes to the characters are don't bother me at all. I just think that
Yep.
the writers of these movies have to keep trying to find ways to just shove as many people into it as they can,
hmm
and they don't understand how these characters work in the comics. It doesn't feel like anyone who wrote this knows anything about the comic
oh
books
no,
for Marvel.
but but
So it's
but
just like there's constantly this
Yeah.
buildup of people being put in and put in and put in. You're like, why are these people here? Like, why does
mhm,
Calypso exist in this movie?
Well, I mean,
yeah,
Calypso and Craven do have a history together.
Yes, but in what world is there a hunting trip in Africa where somebody is fighting, like hunting a lion, and then randomly there's also like three people alone on their own private safari that happen to find the boy
yeah.
who's been
Yeah.
mauled by the lion, and the girl
Spoilers.
But the
runs
thing
off
is,
into the jungle on her own into the
Calypso
Sahara.
Calypso's not even African. She's of Haitian descent. That's where the whole voodoo thing comes from.
And it's just to me that that whole part was just like so forced, and that tells me
Yeah.
that you don't know anything about comic books.
But it's funny
They
going
probably
back.
Googled Craven the Hunter. They saw
Yeah.
Spider-Man. We can't use Spider-Man. Oh, he can hunt. Rhinos, they can hunt
Well,
rhinos. Let's throw him
well,
in. And oh, he has a relationship with Calypso. Okay, there we go. Let's build something around that.
here's the thing, and again, there's one part that I can't speak about now, but luckily that Rhino was in the trailer briefly. But that's the other thing. For example, you know how in a lot of times when we watch a lot of these older comic movies, like you could Spawn well, Spawn actually did more traditionally good to the movies, but there's a lot of like comic book movies that they change a lot of it and they go, "Ooh, it was for the bad reason." Well, since we're already in this Sonyverse horrible train of changing things, for example, Blue Blood, that kind of stuff, this would be the first time that some of the elements were changed that I went, this is really stupid, but I don't know why. I know I'm compensating for all these other bad movies and I'm putting this higher on a pedestal because at least it's rated R. They didn't hold back on any kind of the gore, which they should have done the same thing with Morbius. They should have made it rated R. You know what I mean?
You should have done it
And then
with Venom.
Exactly. And then at the same time, you changed elements that are completely different from the comic book. But I'm like, you know what? At least if you did it, in my eyes, it was kind of a fun way because it visually looked cool. Now, it's not saying this movie's good. It's just after getting a train wreck of these Sony versus Spider-Man movies of Venom, then of Morbius, and then Man Web, this was like actually like a shining peak of like, oh, it's actually better than these, and I actually
Yeah.
kind of enjoy it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I do look back after watching other movies that we've reviewed, and I go, but it's still not as good as these other things I've seen. You know what I
They're
mean?
trying to throw in too many irons into the fire of starting their own Sony cinematic universe.
Yeah,
Too
and the
many
problem
irons
is,
in the fire.
yeah, and the problem is they're throwing too many irons in the fire. But then the point I have is like the way they threw them in there. I'm like, oh, that's kind of inventive, which I can't wait to talk about when we go into spoilers because that's the only thing I liked about this movie when we get to it. So, but anyway, moving on.
I
Well,
thought
I
the
think Aaron
acting,
Taylor Johnson's going to be a great James Bond. How about that?
sure. I thought the acting from the main four in the cast were pretty good. Russell Crowe was solid.
Yep.
Ariana DeBose was solid. Aaron Taylor Johnson is solid. Rhino guy is solid. Then even some of the secondary people are okay, like the brother.
Yeah.
But it's like everyone else in the movie, all the smaller roles, all the extras, the secondary cast is awful. Like
Yeah.
so bad that I just can't fathom that you got paid money to be in a movie.
It's like, what does a Russian gangster sound like? Okay, let's do my imitation of a Russian gangster.
Yeah. There was
like
a lot
rather
of that
than
with
just getting someone that could actually do the role.
Yeah.
And I thought it's like just there's a lot of wasted stuff there. The movie is quite boring in the middle. The
Mhm.
backstory is way too stretched out. Like
Yeah.
it does, and it's not logic based. I just live in the jungle now, but somehow I have this $1 million hut thing that I live in, but I don't have any money. I just exist. I'm a bad guy, but I do good things.
I'm an anti-hero.
It's the misunderstanding of the character, because the way you get towards at the end of this movie doesn't make any sense to me. So I want to just
We'll
give a
get that into
score.
spoilers
Well,
because
let's
they're
just-
setting up so many things that'll never happen.
Well, now they
Yeah.
won't because they've canceled it. But
Yeah.
I would give this a like 5.4.
I'll give it a
you're-
6.
You're actually near what I was saying. I was going to say 5.5.
Yeah, that's fine. We're in the same zonage.
Yeah.
It's like at the end of the movie, how is he now a villain? What happened?
Okay.
He was a hero for the whole movie, then even heroed against his brother, who's now a villain, but then he just became a villain.
Well, are we getting? So here's the thing: are we going to spoiler territory at this point, or no?
Yeah, we already told our
Sure.
scores.
Okay, spoilers. Okay, so spoiler territory now, guys. Here's my thing: the element I thought was actually really funny and cool, ironically, was Kraven having the whole thing with the lions in his blood. It didn't make him actually visually change, which that didn't make sense. But then, like later on, which I guess maybe like I want to know how Rhino became Rhino, because the thing is, we get the same thing with his brother, which we find out is
Dimitri,
Chameleon.
I mean, I knew he was going to become Chameleon anyway because I know the character's name.
The name.
We do get the Miles Warren, because that's the doctor, right? He's the one who creates the Rhino. He's the one who creates Chameleon.
Exactly.
The Gwen Stacy clone. So, like, were they going to set up the clone saga? Were they going to set up Kraven's last hunt? What are they setting up?
Well, see, here's the thing. That's where I wanted to go into this whole situation. When it came to like Rhino and even the setup for Chameleon, the way they were all made and everything in the comic books, it's totally different than what they did in here. You know what I mean? But I liked that they all connected with the animal theme. A chameleon. That makes sense. It's an animal. A rhino. It makes sense. A skin during the thing, he became the rhino. And of course, Kraven, the lion. But the problem is with Kraven, he didn't actually become a lion. He just had the senses of what the lion would have, or the nature.
Yeah, and apparently
of
lions are really good at climbing buildings.
I know,
doing
but
parkour.
But it's not. See, the thing is that the anti whatever that she gave him was not specifically lion. It's the jungle itself. He becomes one with the forest and the jungle and all that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I get it. The lion thing that happens is because the lion's blood goes into his body. That's why.
Yeah. But see, like I actually liked, even though it was a change, I liked the Rhino Chameleon change to it because I thought, oh, that's kind of unique. Because when I finally saw him change it to Chameleon, like, are they gonna actually do the face? And then
He
at
looked
the
great.
end,
Yeah.
it looked great. It looked just like the Chameleon from like it made me reminisce of the animated series Chameleon. That when
Yeah.
it popped up, it looked just like the anime series version of him. And I'm like, oh, that looks so great. But at that point, I'm already like, okay. I'm actually excited for this. This was actually something I was a little bit interested in, but then I'm like, oh yeah, you already screwed it up with the Madam Web with this. Like, how are you going to give us what I feel like is the best of the Spider-Verse series or close to the best of the Spider-Verse series? And then like give us all this crap before, like it's too late. You should I feel like I feel like I had a last ride with a ex girlfriend, and I'm like, you gave me the best of you this last time, but the whole time we dated was horrible. So why is it the whole time we dated you didn't give me the best of you, but then when we broke up and we had one night together, you gave me the best? Like it's like I hate that happened, but that's pretty much
Yeah.
what it felt like with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, but my point is like they're like what I was saying earlier in the review is that they're trying to set up too much too
Mhm.
fast. And I think that's what this movie is suffering from. Like they're going in so many like the Avengers started with Iron Man, okay? Then you had Thor, then you had Iron Man 2, which is setting up the Avengers initiative. Let's build a team. And slowly you start introducing them. Whereas this, it's just like Morbius, here's Vulture, here's this, here's that. And then Madam Web, it's like, well, let's take it in a different direction with these and that. And then, now you have Kraven. Let's set up the Clone Saga and let's set up Chameleon and kill off Rhino, even though he's like a major villain in the Spider-Man universe. And
But you, JD, you actually said it perfectly right there. Let's go back to when this all start with Homecoming. With Homecoming, we had Vulture. That's it, just Vulture. Then at the end, we got a little Scorpion tease, which we all were like, "Sweet, that's cool." You know what I mean? That sets up Scorpion. Maybe the next one will be Scorpion. Then, of course, we got Morbius, and then Morbius was just Morbius. But then they shoehorned in Vulture to put in this whole situation that didn't work. So then they thought, okay, let's not shoehorn him. Let's just throw it to the wall with these three girls that are all spider characters, and they'll like it. But let's not give them much time in the movie anyway. It's like, what were you thinking in that your brain there? You didn't even give us the actual action scene that they were told, but you just gave it as a person in their head foreshadowing this. So then all of a sudden now you are giving this to us. You literally make Rhino change into Rhino, and it looks grotesque and it looked actually pretty cool to
It
me.
was
yeah,
pretty
And
awesome. That fight
yeah,
is
yeah,
pretty awesome.
yes.
yeah.
And then at the end you give me when he changes himself to look like his own brother Kraven, and then he changes back to show that he's a chameleon, and I'm like, you give us these things that are actually looking pretty good,
Little
but at
little
this point,
hints of brilliance. Yeah.
yes, that's my point. That's why I'm like, why is it you give me this? Like, I the reason I use it as the girlfriend situation is because you literally just gave me the worst relationship in the
I'm
world,
being
and then at the
cuckolded.
end, yeah, and then all of a sudden at the end we have one night together, and you just gave me the best night of my life, and like now I feel like I just got screwed over this whole time. Like you
I'm
just
being
gave me the
cuckolded
worst.
by the Sony Cinematic Universe.
And I mean, am I wrong? Isn't that what it feels like? Because it's like
No,
it's just a
it's true
mess.
though.
It's
Like you're being teased.
Yeah, and yeah, there was too much in this, and I agree there was way too much in this. But at least this time, you at least fanfared it, and it fanfared in a way that was like actually kind of interesting, even though it was changed. But then, like, it's too late. I feel like you learned your lesson, but you learned your lesson. We were already out of the relationship. I'm already dating another girl, but we just had a one night stand, and hey, I don't want
It'd be
this.
like showing Metal Sonic and Amy, and then nothing comes from it.
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
I don't know. Like it's the movie is what it is. I'm not a big fan of this universe.
No,
I
never was.
I genuinely very much like if we're gonna go on the scale of personal dislike, Carnage is like my lowest of all these movies because
Yeah.
I just think what they did with that character is so awful. It's such a step backwards from the Venom movie we just got to not only take it that big of a step back, but then to add in the most important character that's not Venom in all of this universe and mess
hmm
it up that badly was just like, what's happening?
Yeah. Woody Harrelson was miscast in that role.
Oh, big
Actually, I
time.
think let's see here. I think Woody Harrelson could have. I think the plot was bad. Like the thing is with Cassidy, there's no there's not no, oh, I have a love interest. Like when they brought her to the whole situation, that's what I felt was bad. The plot
But
of that
that could
movie
have
is
worked if he played that character like he did in Natural Born Killers.
No,
that's what I was expecting.
they should have had him be more like the Joker, where he's just causing chaos. He's literally just
Psychotic.
murdering everybody because that's what he does in the comic. He's killing everybody. He's just a psycho. In this movie, it's like it's all built around this stupid romance that you're like, well, I don't get it.
But that's why I agree with JD, because the thing is I feel like you take the romance out of Natural Born Killers, and it's literally what I feel like the Carnage character is in the comic books. He's just likes killing. He makes enjoyment out of it. He thrives on it. And if you would have given us that, I feel like it would have been a darker story. Because then even Venom would be like, "Oh, I don't like this guy. He just wants to kill me. He has no reason for this motive. He just wants to do it." And that's creepy. You know what I mean?
But we got
There's
little bits of that where like Venom was afraid of Carnage.
right, but this
Again, those
But in
little
the first
hints.
movie, Venom was also afraid of the bad guy.
Yeah, and see
Yeah.
the thing is, here's the thing, with the whole love interest, at least it's Venom or Eddie Brock, I've been like, he has a crutch, you know what I mean? Like you could have think you're too scared of him because he's red, not because he's actually menacing. And see, that's where I feel like the Sonyverse has gone wrong, is because I don't understand what Sony as a company is thinking. Because let's look at the past they had. They did the first three Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man 1 and then Spider-Man 2 is the best of all of them all. You know what I mean? Then you get Spider-Man 3, and that's when things go downhill. But I always felt like because Sony was getting involved, they wanted to force Venom into it. So, of course, they had to put Venom in there. He didn't like Venom. This is what happens. So then we get Amazing Spider-Man 1. I actually thought it was a decent movie. But again, we start
Amazing Spider-Man 1
shoehorning it.
is good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but then
actually
and then when we get the second one, it's like Sony had to mess with things. So if we notice, there's a track record where whenever they let someone else take the realms, like when Kevin Feige took all the new Spider-Man movies and everything, we got solid movies. Sony has this weird brain aneurysm where they think that we know what we are giving you, but time and time again, every time they take over, it's a bad motive because again, Spider-Man 3, horrible. Amazing Spider-Man 2, horrible. And then look at all the Sony Spider-Verse, horrible. It's like you don't understand your characters that you own. But at the same time, when you give it to somebody else that does understand it, you do phenomenal. But then if you don't let them take it, it goes downhill.
But see,
Like
that's the thing.
was,
I've known that's the track record Sony has. Sony, they have success with the first film, and let's see how much money we can like. Let's see what we can do to like shoehorn everything in, and that's why
but
Sam Raimi had a little bit of say into the second Spider-Man movie as opposed to Sony taking over. And the Sam Raimi cut of Spider-Man 2, like the
oh my
director's cut,
God,
is
yes.
one of the best superhero movies of all time, I think. And Spider-Man 3, it's like, oh, this made a lot of money. The first two, let's shoehorn who's popular, who can we get? Okay, let's do. And again, Topher Grace absolutely miscast as
Exactly. It's Eddie Brock, yeah.
yeah,
And
as Eddie
see,
Brock.
and see, you said it. You said an example there, but like, let's use this. I heard Morbius, the guy that directed it. Because remember we had those scenes where they were trying to hint at the being part of the Spider-Man universe with him being the background in the trailer. Apparently, the way I heard it is the guy that made Morbius had a whole different story. And see,
It
this
was
happens
also
a lot.
supposed to be very much a horror movie, and they took away
Yeah.
all the
Exactly,
horror elements.
Yeah.
exactly. Like
To the
I heard
point where
something
that mural in the background was never originally supposed to be a mural of Spider-Man.
like I've actually recently heard a story, and I'm gonna look it up, and I'll tell you guys about it later too in more detail. But I heard from the company, Canon Films that made that old Captain America movie. I heard the original director had a different version of it, but just like
Didn't
Sony
Canon Films
can,
also make all the Superman movies?
I think so, yeah.
No,
And no, they
Are you sure?
pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure
um,
they did.
but
No,
anyway,
that was always
but
Warner Brothers.
but so Canon made that Captain America movie that came out in theaters that had the Red Skull and all that in it. And apparently, if you look online, the guy that directed the movie, they give him a copy of his version and said, "You can do whatever you want with this. We want to do it our way." And they did it linear. Apparently, the original movie is not linear, and the story's much better when it's not linear. And so I'm still wanting to watch that movie. I'm actually going to go back and find that copy online because I want to see what the original director had an idea of it. You know what I mean? Because maybe that actually was a decent type of movie. Because the guy did a whole review about it and talking about you should go see the original cut of it that the director wanted to make it. So my whole point to the whole thing is this: is that I feel like that's happening a lot with Sony. Is that there are these visions from these directors and these writers that they're like, this is going to be awesome, but then Sony's like, oh, we need to put this character in. Well, it doesn't fit with the plot. We'll find a way. And and Sony still continues to do this, thinking it's going to make money. And I don't understand how they haven't learned a lesson. Like, I feel like this movie kind of started to learn their lesson, but at that point, again, it was too late. They had already messed things up and everything. And it's like, oh, well, just put that in there now, and maybe they'll get excited. It's like, no, you already screwed things up. You're done. Bye. You know what I mean? Even though you made Chameleon look like Chameleon, it's still
that's already too late at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So all I know is I kind of wish Sony would just give up the rights to some of Spider-Man in general, because I feel like if they gave Spider-Man back to Marvel and Marvel have everything back to normal now, we would have a very, very phenomenal Marvel universe if they would just let it flesh out. Because I feel like Feige, if he had a chance, and I feel like that's what's going to happen in New Fantastic Four, would have an opportunity to make these things good.
Superman 4: A Quest for Peace is canon.
Oh, okay. That was the worst one.
And so was also the He-Man movie.
Yes.
Yep.
Masters of Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, and they talked about that too when they were talking about the Captain America. They said same situation. The guy that made apparently the Master Universe thing had a totally different vision, and
his was closer to the cartoon.
Listen,
Like,
there's two things I love in that movie. Number one is
Frank
Courtney
Langella.
Cox. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And
He's
Frank
freaking-
Langella.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
He was a good Skeletor. I'll give him that.
I agree.
Oh yeah, great Skeletor.
There was so much in that movie that was going somewhere good. Like, it's really fun and adventurous, and then it just kind of loses where it's going.
If they got rid of Billy Barty's character and replaced that with Orko,
yes,
and
he
even the
was
hairy dude, just call him Beastman.
Yep. I don't know.
He's like a cat. Bite his hand off.
Point is, Sony, stop tampering with the Spider-Man movies. Let the directors and the writers make
there
good
was
movies,
so
and you'll
much
make money.
potential, to bring Andrew Garfield back as the Spider-Man
like,
to Venom.
Sony, stop being canon films.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like, realistically though, like,
Yeah.
if I'm counting universe, I count the two Amazing Spider-Man movies as part of this universe.
Yes.
Because I feel like it's genuinely part of this universe. As
So
much
how
as
does-
it might not
because
be.
in Morbius, that Spider-Man mural is Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
And
but
also,
then how does
they
Rhino
show
work
it
in the
at the
situation?
end of Venom is in the ending scene, isn't he, of the
Yep.
Spider-Man movie?
Yes. The Tom
Wait,
Holland
which one?
one.
The Tom Holland
Tom
one.
Holland
But then
not
he
the
goes
Andrew
back to
one.
his reality.
Yeah, where they hint that he's connected to the Andrew Garfield universe.
Yeah. There was so much potential there. So much
I mean,
potential.
again,
Well, there's
there was-
rumors, there's big time rumors swirling that they're gonna make Amazing Spider-Man 3 and they're gonna make Spider-Man 4.
Well, Spider-Man 4, I heard, is officially in the works.
Oh, that is. Tom Holland's already said that he's been sitting with them and writing, and it's the first time he's actually writing with them.
Sam Raimi, Spider-Man 4. With Tobey Maguire. That they're gonna make a sequel to both Spider-Man movies.
Okay. Well, no,
happening.
I'll
I
take
thought you were talking
that.
about Tom Holland one. Yeah, I'm down. I mean, just
If we
don't-
get the Sam Raimi 4 with, what they were going to do? They were going to do Vulture?
Yeah. Listen, don't blame Sony for screwing up Marvel when it's Marvel's fault that Sony owns it in the first place.
Yes.
Because realistically, Sony still doesn't even own the Hulk. Okay?
Marvel
you just
doesn't
got
own the Hulk.
Marvel doesn't-
Sorry,
yeah,
yes, Marvel
does.
doesn't own the Hulk.
Paramount
you just got
owns-
lucky and you got all the Fox characters back because you threw more money than you were worth to buy Fox, and it just happened to work out for you that you didn't go bankrupt. Okay?
And Paramount owns the rights to the Incredible Hulk. Hence the reason why they're forcing Red Hulk in the new movie.
Is that why?
So here's my thing though. I mean, I know Spider-Man is like an IP that is just huge. It's the icon for Marvel in general. I mean, when you think Marvel, you think Spider-Man. It's still that way this day, you know, because it's Stan Lee.
It's one of the three pillars of Marvel. If you think DC, you're going to think Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay. If I'm thinking DC, I think Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, and then if you want to go extended, I count the original Justice League. Okay, which is Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
If that's who you count, because it's not always Martian Manhunter, by the way.
Sometimes it's Hawkgirl.
Yeah. If you're going Marvel, for me at this point, like where we are, it's because of the MCU. It's like Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America. But realistically, if you're looking at the grand scheme of what comics were, it's probably Wolverine, Spider-Man, and then
Hulk.
like the Hulk. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
Mhm.
general world of Marvel
Or
pre-MCU.
I feel like you could take Hulk and Captain America and kind of switch them out
No,
between each
Captain
other.
America comics never
Yeah,
sold well.
he was never that popular outside of the 60s and 70s.
Right, but the Avengers.
That's fair.
because of
I'll
leading
allow
Yeah.
that. But I think especially towards the 90s, Punisher even could be argued is one of the big, or Daredevil.
Well,
In
Fantastic
the
Four
80s,
because
Daredevil was definitely like the guy.
Yeah,
He
Frank
was
Miller.
selling
Yeah.
comics.
Yeah.
Even the Kevin Smith run in the 90s is great. Anyways, digressing from the point, I think nowadays it's easily Spider-Man, Captain America, and
Iron Man.
Iron Man. And Iron Man, listen to me. Except for the Demon in a Bottle storyline, I don't think Iron Man was selling like hotcakes ever in his entire history.
But
The
don't-
only
but-
reason why they went with Iron Man to begin with is because they didn't have the rights to any of the bigger names.
Yeah.
But see, but would you think that now because of them owning Fox now, at this point, Wolverine does kind of take over?
No,
Captain
and I'll
America
tell you
back?
why. Because he doesn't have the fame level of Captain America or
They spent the last 2 decades building up Chris Evans.
Spider-Man is automatically there. I agree.
But-
I kind of agree what you're saying to a point, because in terms of iconography from movies, so not the characters themselves,
Right.
iconography from movies and the people, Hugh Jackman, Chris
Mhm.
Evans,
Yes.
and Robert Downey Jr. are all back now because they feel like that's what was pulling in the money. It's not
Yep.
the characters of Wolverine, Iron Man, and Captain America. It's those
It's
three
the
actors.
true.
That's
Yeah.
why they've recast Robert Downey Jr. as
Doctor Doom.
Not because he's a good actor. It's not because Iron
the
Man's
name.
popular. It's because they think Robert Downey Jr. is what people want to see. And me as a movie person, as a Marvel fan, I don't want that. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard in my entire
Well,
life.
like I said, if
You could have had
when
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
again, I think I know where they're going with the plot. And again, if they are, it's just so they can get reboot. They're just finding a way to force a reboot. Not really a reboot, but basically where they can meld both the Fox and the MCU together, because they don't want to kill the Fox universe necessarily because there's iconic names. Because if
Yeah,
Hugh
but
Jackman's-
nobody other than Hugh Jackman, who's contracted for 2 more films, nobody from the Fox universe is returning.
Well, no, I understand that, but again, like I said, we never know
They're
what's
already
gonna
being
happen.
recast.
Right.
The girl
But see,
from Stranger Things is supposed to end up being Jean Grey.
Jean Grey.
Right, but there's rumors that again, I'm only going based on rumors, and I'm not going based on actual things Feige said. But if it's true, and Feige's like, hey, he's got negotiated Hugh Jackman, they thought about rearranging things and making Hugh Jackman the leader, and just waiting on bringing Professor Xavier in there, so that way people can be eased into the X-Men still with
Yeah,
a guy
but
that they're
Professor
familiar with.
Xavier, you can't bring Patrick Stewart back because
Patrick
the guy's
Stewart's
100.
not, because they already used
No.
Patrick Stewart in a way, so they won't do
Yeah.
that again. If anything, it will be James McAvoy.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
But I mean,
okay,
again-
James McAvoy. Fassbender has already stated that he's not coming back.
He's saying that he does want to come back as Magneto after he saw how the fans received Hugh Jackman. He's saying that he would be interested if the movie was right.
Okay.
But I still think, I mean, I'm really okay with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just
But
recast.
I don't think Lawrence is going to come back. Jennifer
No,
Lawrence.
100%.
No,
No, nobody
no.
else is cut. If they're
And
bringing-
nobody from the original X-Men trilogy is going to
No.
come back
If you're
because that
bringing
movie
back
was
anyone, let's
25
bring back
years
those
ago.
two. If you're gonna bring back any people, just bring back those two for me, and I'm okay. But you don't even have to bring them back.
Yeah, because like Halle Berry, even James Marsden, these guys were 25 years ago. They're
Yeah.
well past the
I
age.
also don't want 60-year-old Halle Berry in anything that I'm watching, because she's not even that good of an actress.
Well, I'm going to say this. Either way, I'm looking at it this way. Even if they bring those back, whether I'm not trying to say I want that, I'm just saying if they bring it back, as long as they do it well enough. Because, like I said, I like the way they brought back Hugh Jackman and Deadpool Wolverine. I feel like they did a great job of it. It gave us the yellow and blue, the way we wanted Hugh Jackman to be.
because he's
Wolverine
a
that we
different
wanted.
universe Wolverine.
Exactly.
Fine.
So if you give us James Marsden, but a different version of that from like the thing, I'm okay with that. My thing is this: if Robert Downey Jr. is going to play this, I hope they're not, I hope that they're not casting Bash just on fan service. I hope they're casting on fan service, and they sat down with the Russos and said, "Oh wow, this is going to work, and he can play this part. Let's do it." And that's why they're doing this, because they're like, this is going to be as good as Infinity War, and maybe they're bringing the Fox universe.
But this is
Like,
my thing, right? You have Winter Soldier, you have Infinity War, you have Endgame. Name another good movie that the Russo brothers did. Did they do
War was
Civil
good.
War?
Yeah, they did Civil War. Yeah,
Did they?
Okay.
I thought so. I'm pretty sure they did Civil War.
They made two really bad movies for Netflix, The Gray Man, and I don't remember what the other one was
For
called.
some reason, I feel like the Russo brothers are just know Marvel better than a lot of other directors, but so is James Gunn. You know what I mean? I feel like he knew Marvel.
Yeah, they
too.
did do
Listen,
Civil War.
You had a shot, okay? You had a shot at saying, well, you know what? Kevin Feige, it made us a lot of money, but maybe it's time to move on from him. Or you had a shot of being like, you know who should be running this universe? James Gunn, because he produces nothing but magic for us. And you know what they didn't do? That. So that's on them.
Because DC said, "We'll do it." Like, look at the new Superman trailer. It looks
That's
amazing.
someone who just understands.
And there's
comic books.
another name who won't be coming back because Nicholas Hoult, if this Superman movie takes off, him as Lex Luthor, he will never come back as Beast.
That's true.
Oh yeah, good point.
Listen, anyways, who cares about who's coming back? This
Well, Beast, we
movie
already
is
have
not
Kelsey Grammer.
good.
Remember?
This movie's not good. Don't watch it. I'm not recommending it, even though I don't think it was as bad as everyone's saying. Not recommending it.
I mean, let's put it this way: if you're saying Morbius is better than this, you're just because you like the Morbius memes. Morbius is
Yeah.
not.
If
better
you
than
want to
this movie.
hate watch movies, definitely I think Madam Web and Morbius are way more fun than this.
Those are like The Room. They're like The Room and
Yeah.
fun. It's not
But
a good
if you
movie,
want
just fun.
to, if you're, this movie's definitely actually better than both of those.
Yeah.
I agree.
Maybe we should do a tier list of the Sony Cinematic Universe now that it's
Maybe we
done.
will.
I am
Maybe we
100%
shall.
down for that. Yeah. Or just
Okay.
all Sony and Marvel movies. I think we should do a whole Sony.
No,
Marvel
that'll
movie.
take too long. I think the Sony universe,
What do you
including
mean?
the
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
Yeah, you could
films.
just add the other 3 Spider-Man and the 2 Spider-Verse movies.
But,
It
but
wouldn't
what
be
else?
that
Is,
much
but,
of a
then,
deal.
but what else would there be though? That's what I'm saying. There's
That's what
only
I'm
other.
saying.
What,
You
It's
could just
eight,
add it.
eight, 9 movies. You only need about 10 movies for a decent tier list, and it doesn't have to be
That's
that
what I'm
long.
saying. So just
Okay, well,
all
we'll make
Marvel
it
Sony. Just
15 and
Marvel
it'll be
Sony.
okay. Anyways, thank you for watching. Let us know Putty's crazy in the comments below, and peace out.